here. Whoops, my mic was muted. Welcome, everybody. I'm so grateful to be in. Grateful to have you here on this live. Please let me know where you're from. I love to know where you're from, and comment down below if you have any questions, anything you want to state. I love to interact with my audience as well. For those who don't know me, I am Jocelyn Afina-Delansky. I am a trainer of NLP and hypnotherapy, also a healer, EDIS behavioral profiler, and an RTT therapist. But most of all, I want to share a little bit about my story because it's brought me to where I am today. And it was the reason why I wanted to be a practitioner, be a coach, and be in the field of human behavior and human development and personal development. So I grew up in Waikato, New Zealand, born and bred. I had an amazing family upbringing, and I believe my family was the best family in the world up until I was in my teenage years. And a lot of the stories that I would tell people, they would question me and say, oh, that's not normal. That's not good. And later on in life, I learned about trauma. I learned about wounds and hurts, and I learned that my family system was actually quite dysfunctional. And the dysfunction meant that a lot of children were abused, that was swept under the carpet, wasn't acknowledged, wasn't seen. There was no police involved. There was no court hearings. It was just the family hid a lot of secrets. And so as a child growing up in an environment like that, where no one wants to speak the truth, everyone wants to sort of avoid, sweep under the carpet, pretend, fake it till you make it, and live on the edge of lies, deceit, manipulation, betrayal. That for me was a breeding ground for how I would come to know myself more and trust and lean on myself more so than those that I grew up with, and also those of my family system and even friend system. Because what I had to unlearn and decondition to was really the nuts and bolts of boundaries, of why it's important to be honest. And even when the truth hurts, why it's important to be fully open, whether you don't like the outcome or not, and reveal yourself in all parts of yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it brought me to a place over the last couple of years where I could not pretend any longer and be around anything that was misaligned with authenticity and genuine truth, or being genuine. And that was because of my own healing. Now, before I started my healing journey, it was quite okay for me to work in nursing. I'm a registered nurse and have been a trauma nurse for 15 years, and have also been in the health industry and corporate for 27 years. And it was quite okay for me to go to work. I had a good paycheck, had a good salary. I was able to put food on the table, provide for my daughter, and I always had money. I wasn't rolling in the dough, but I always had resources, and I was able to do things, and I thought I was living a great life. Up until I was at work one day and I became sick. I ended up being a patient. I ended up having to get my bloods done, ECG. I had infusions running. My friends, my colleagues at the time, had to look after me. And it was quite a different way being a patient as a nurse. I think it's one of the hardest things nurses and doctors have to face when they're on the other end of receiving treatment, because they know so much. They know how the system works. And so definitely for me, it was an eye-opener. My daughter was 7 at the time. I lived on a mountain 40 minutes away from civilization, so to speak. And I didn't have any family around me. And this mountain's so beautiful. It was the thing that I needed at the time, and I chose to do things different. I have been following the system, the westernized way of looking at health, which is a pill and a potion, get a surgery. And when it came to me having to have surgery and having to take all these medications, I really felt like that path wasn't for me. And I don't know why, but I just knew my body spoke and said, don't do it. I mean, unless you've done all the things that you could possibly do and then it doesn't work, then of course that's your last option. That's an alternative. But to be the primary alternative, no, try a different way. So I said no to the surgery. I rang up the day of the surgery. I said, I'm not feeling well. And you can't have surgery when you don't feel well. And it wasn't that I was lying. I was being more authentic to, I don't feel well with this decision. You're going to ablate my heart. What if you miss? If you misfire, I either can throw a clot to my brain or to my heart, have a heart attack or a stroke. You could miss and kill me instantly. You could miss the wrong area and I'd have to have a pacemaker my entire life. And so those were the odds that I was not willing to risk. I wasn't willing to leave my life in the hands of these, amazing surgeons. I'm sure they would have done a great job. But I just, for myself, for my body spoke up and said, no, I don't feel right. I don't feel good about this. It doesn't feel aligned. And so I thought, okay, well, what do I do? So I went to the gym. I started working out. I started eating healthy. And I lost 22 kgs. And I found a book. And the book was called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And in this book, it was just life-changing. The words spoke to me. It activated something within me. I knew that if I just did everything that she said, and she had in this beautiful book, there were areas of life, relationships, finances, mine, I was focused on health. But as I looked at all these other chapters, I was like, wow, I never thought of that part of my life. I never thought about that part of my life. And I started to slowly, it started to be revealed to me that there's more important things than just focusing on this. I've got to get my career advanced. I'm going to work up the ranks. I'm going to, buy nice things. And there was, that's important, but it wasn't the complete picture. And I was totally in my masculine focused on buying a house and all that sort of stuff, which is important, but it wasn't everything because I was totally unfulfilled at the time. I was not happy and I loved my job. I loved the people. I love the nurses and the doctors. They're just in a league of their own in terms of what it takes to work in an environment that can be so grueling and so hard and so rapid and fast paced. They're just phenomenal people. And my patients, I had a great affinity to my patients. I learned a lot about human behavior and human development, and also what it takes for someone who has a negative way of looking at the world and their symptoms and their prognosis and diagnosis and how they deal with that, as opposed to someone who is in the exact same situation, but how they have this positive outlook to the world and how they no matter what, they know that they're going to get through. They know that they're going to find a way. They're going to be resourceful. And it was really, I started to notice congruent patterns and corresponding behaviors with those who were negative and what they had, and also how they looked as well, as opposed to the positive people. And it just shone a light on me. I've been and witnessed some of the most traumatic events in people's lives and some of the most heartbreaking, life-threatening ones. And I've seen the best and the worst of human behavior. I've seen how someone can go from having everything to losing it in one night in a car accident. and how they deal with that. And so what I become really alert to and aware of is how this relates to my family and my upbringing, my childhood, and how I also had some pretty significant traumatic things happen when I was growing up, but I didn't acknowledge them because I was taught to just keep going, just go to school, get a good job, get a good education, and then you're set for life. You see, if you don't acknowledge what needs to be acknowledged, your body is going to start acknowledging it. And Dr. Gabor Mate says that, who's a trauma specialist. He's amazing. Look him up on YouTube. He's phenomenal. And so what I was not acknowledging, what I wasn't allowed to witness within me, my emotions. You know, sometimes I was told to be quiet, as we all have been told when we're little. I'm sure I've told children that as well. Be quiet, go to your room. You're being naughty, give a label, and shame them and guilt them, just like I was, for having these feelings. So I didn't know what to do with my feelings. I didn't know how to articulate them. I certainly didn't know how to express them, because I was wronged so many times for having an idea or a thought or even a feeling. And it's no blaming anyone. It just is the way it is. If there's no knowledge, if there's no personal development on a parent's journey, then they're unable to gift you what they don't have within themselves. So it brought me to this place, I would call it my mid-30s. I was going through some real amazing shifts and transformations. I was able to go to Tony Robbins' event, Date with Destiny. It was 6 days. It was massive. It was like life-changing. And I learned about myself there. And what I come to know was, the more I invested in myself, the more I put myself into places with like-minded people who are also wanting to become better, wanting to understand themselves more, wanting to heal the past traumas, wounds, and hurts. I began to really know more on a deeper level who I am, what I stand for, what is me, what isn't, and unravel those patterns, those conditionings, and those attachments that I had made, and some of it imposed upon me by certain beliefs of my parents, my grandparents, but also others I had just blindly followed because I was a highly suggestible, empathic child. So it brings me to the topics that I want to share over the next 21 days. I'm excited to bring to you the understanding of NLP and hypnotherapy, and how these modalities are literally the fundamental things that changed my life. And I don't just say it. I say that because it's true. That's why I utilize these with my clients and my sessions. And now I'm certifying students to become practitioners of it. I feel like it's fundamental, it's foundational. I feel like it should be in schools. I don't know why they teach how to chop a frog up without teaching basic life skills, basic management of self and emotions, basic understanding of how to communicate with yourself better, and how to effectively communicate with every single other person in your life, basic understandings of how to take responsibility, and knowing that it's up to me, not up to anyone else, to come save me. Basic understanding of also goals, of having a focus on a compelling future rather than the one that you're born into, or the family that you're born into. Having a desire to know that you can be and do more than what you've grown up with and what you've grown up believing about yourself. And really understanding also that the role that you play in your family, that the identification or identity that you've been given in your family, that doesn't need to be something that you adhere to if you don't want to. See, when I was born, I was given the name Jocelyn, which is my auntie, my sister's name, and I love my sister, I love my auntie, I love them very much. I was also given the name Awhina, which means to help, to support, to embrace. And I had a real tantrum when I found out what my real name meant, Awhina. I found out when I was about 14, 15 years old, and I said to my nana, what the heck? Because she named all of my siblings and my cousins. And she's a true matriarch of our family. I love her so much. But that name, I was like, are you serious? Like, they get all these cool names from warriors and chiefs and, you know, amazing people in our culture, and I get Awhina to help. Like, I feel ripped off. You know, like, I don't know what you were thinking. And my nana said to me, which still stays today, you know, you were the one that could bring the family together. Boy, was she, you know, very wise, but also in some ways very wrong. Because although I love my nan, that's a heavy thing to put on a child. And it's also, you know, not something that I want to be a part of, to bring a family together that has so much dysfunction. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my family very much. But I also love, more than anything, healing and truth and authenticity. And so I've come a long way to know that I stand on my own maunga, my own mountain of resilience, and I have to be able to discern what's good for me and what's not. And that can come in many forms. And for an empathic young girl who always wanted to help everyone, who would always self-sacrifice, and even today, there can be times when I do that. I've come such a long way in my career, in me as a person, me as a woman, me as a mother, and in all the other roles that I play. It's more important, and I believe it's truly more important, for you to know who you are and what you stand for, what your values are, what your standards are. And if you're not living the life that you love, then it's time to raise those standards. And so this is why I felt intuitively, I felt really pulled magnetically to do this series. It's not something I was like, yay, I want to go live every day for 21 days. It's something that I know that I needed to do to reveal how important neurolinguistic programming and hypnotherapy was for me, and how it can be a true life changer in the direction and course of your life. So I've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years. I've been on the personal development journey for 7 years. And when my trauma sort of followed me everywhere I went, because I wasn't acknowledging it. Instead, I was suppressing, pushing it down, deep down, as we learn to do. And when I got sick, I got real sick. And a couple of years ago, I was in a situationship, I would call it. But I was in a relationship that was not healthy. And it was not healthy because I hadn't worked on my stuff. The other person had not worked on their stuff. And so two broken people really come together, and it wreaked havoc. And it was the hardest time of my life, really, to go through. And I imagine it would have been for the other person as well. And it certainly impacted my daughter in negative ways, and all of us. Like, we all went through a really shitty time. And throughout that time, from my experience, I experienced real severe illness. I reached a point where I couldn't walk. And I also reached a point where I wanted to end my life. And through no fault of anyone, you know, I will say there's such thing as taking responsibility, accountability, owning your shit, not projecting it out on other people. I will say that. I will say it's not fair that some people just continue to run around, jump into relationship after relationship without really healing themselves and just going and hurting other people multiple times. So I feel that's really unhealthy, it's unnecessary, and it's downright selfish. But what I will say is, for my part, on my journey, I feel like it was necessary. It was something that happened because it was bringing me to the person who I really am, and it was allowing me to literally die, have all these multiple deaths, and go through these deaths of the ego and a real dark night of the soul. It wasn't a pretty journey. A lot of you have seen it unraveled here on Facebook. It wasn't my proudest moment. It's not something I want a trophy for, because at the end of the day, it was one of the darkest times of my life. But I have reached a point, and thankfully with the tools of NLP and hypnotherapy and other energetic healing tools, and having amazing, phenomenal mentors, and having people out there in the community that I could turn to who have also been through a similar journey, I know that it was meant to be. And you can teach people best what you have experienced yourself, and also what you're ready to learn about yourself. And so I would never go to someone and learn about something that had no clue, had no idea how to help lead me, guide me, and help heal me, or help me heal myself. I would never do that. Why would I invest my time, energy, and money into someone who had no idea what they were doing? So for me, this is something that I'm really passionate about. It is the thing that helped me heal myself. It is the I'm grateful that I'm alive. I'm grateful that now I'm this amazing mother. I was always an amazing mother, but when you're going through something really difficult, sometimes you lose yourself. I'm grateful that my daughter's thriving, and I'm thriving, and I really feel very strongly about the importance in making sure that you take full ownership and full responsibility, and that you're really honest with yourself, and that you reach a point where you can be honest with everyone around you. So it's a real disservice to be on this planet, to live a life that is unfulfilled because you keep lying to yourself and others. And so I'm excited. I am. I'm just having a moment of, wow, I went through all of that. My body is expressing it, and I allow my body to express. I no longer tell my body to be quiet. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I no longer diminish that. I just allow. And it's through the allowing that I've reached a place where I'm now ready to help other students reach that path in their lives where they just draw a line in the sand, where they say enough is enough, and they move through their life and in powerful ways, both professionally and also personally, and that they're of value to people, that they're of value to their children, that they're of value to themselves. And that's the most important thing. So what I learned is I love myself now, but I wasn't loving myself to stay in a relationship that was just so unhealthy on so many levels. And I take responsibility of my part I played in that. And so now I love myself, but back then I didn't. And so how could I love my daughter? How could I be a good parent to her if I really didn't? I didn't know who I was then. I didn't know the capacity I had. I didn't know how strong I really was. And it wasn't until I went through that I would learn that I am unstoppable. So I'm excited to bring the next 21 days, and we're going to unravel. I'm going to bring up little nuts and bolts, little bits and pieces so that you can understand what neurolinguistic programming is and what hypnotherapy is. These were the two things that changed my life. I was able to heal myself from out of 15 health issues, and some of them were quite significant and chronic, including depression, anxiety, CPTSD. I was able to heal 13 of those within 9 months, and the last two are the two I'm waiting for surgeries on now. But because of COVID, I'm waiting another year. It's been a couple of years, but it's not something that is urgent. It's urgent for me, but it's not obviously urgent for the doctors. So that's been a real blessing to me to be able to still do my work and still clear my mindset and still get rid of negative beliefs that aren't serving me and negative emotions, and still maintain while I was healing motherhood and being a coach and helping my clients and things like that. I still did work under the radars, but I made sure that I didn't take any more clients on that I couldn't serve, that I didn't feel I could serve. Now I'm ready. Now it's on. So I look forward to bringing you these 21 days. Please, if you have any comments, please comment down below, share, PM me. And if you're looking for assistance and help, there's always someone who's ready to receive you and listen to you. Please feel free to reach out to me and I will definitely get back to you. Take care, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful weekend, and love yourself a little bit more by putting yourself first in some way. Buy yourself a chocolate, go on a hike, go out camping, spend time with your kids, but make sure you have fun, no matter what it is that you do. Take care, everybody. Much love. Bye.